Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing a true classic. This is a true vintage Patek Philippe 2526, the company's first automatic wristwatch, made from 1953 to 1960. It was a trailblazer and one of the most classically beautiful timepieces of its era, Patek or otherwise. 36 millimeters in yellow gold. You can see the watch wears easily on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, and 36 millimeters was actually quite a fair size by the standards of 1953. You could see that there is remaining evidence of hallmarks between the lugs, and if you look carefully at the dial, you'll see it's a first series with the indices themselves set via feet into the double-fired vitreous enamel dial. A watch that wears easily from lug to lug. The timepiece is nicely constrained across the wrist. 43.5 millimeters as I measure it. The timepiece is also a 10.8 millimeters thick. A lot of that, however, is the domed plexiglass crystal rather than actual thickness of the case. The timepiece is a wonder to behold and a wonder to experience, with an 18 millimeter, very vintagey spacing between the lugs. And as you can see, it's fit with a modern Patek Philippe strap, gator on the top, large rectangular scale. As you can see, a gloss finish with a sheer edge and a monotone stitch. There is a Patek Philippe pin buckle, but I believe this is a far later piece. As you can see, there's simply no comparison between the buckle and the watch. They are of two different eras, but the watch is all of the 1950s, and gloriously so. As you can see, the correct opposed P Patek Philippe crown from the period. All of the original case line still quite intact, right down to the domed bezel. This is a remarkable survivor, as it's largely been spared the refinisher's wheel. You'll also appreciate the fact that the dial itself is in very good condition. It's not immaculate, but as you can see from the details of the camera itself, the gloss remains excellent, the tarnish almost completely negligible. The indices themselves have been reset at some point, and the hands have been replaced in the past, but the timepiece remains handsome, intact, historically accurate, and it continues to exhibit many of the hallmarks of an early 2526. Namely, if you look close to the indices themselves, you will note a double dimple underneath each gold body where it was placed by feet into the dials. Later on, they would be adhered to the dial. Early on, they were physically set into apertures in the dial, and that's the distinction between the earliest and the later dial styles. Now you can see the watch is handsome and classical. It's what we would today call a Patek Philippe Calatrava style, and back in the day it was full of innovations, starting with the screwed-in caseback. This was an early water-resistant style Patek Philippe case. Underneath, the breakthrough caliber 12600 AT automatic winding. It was Patek's first automatic caliber, and it was no mean machine. It was a mean machine, and I mean that in the badass sense. Automatic winding, 30 jewels, adjusted in 5 positions, bearing the Geneva hallmark and finish to match. The 5-position adjustment rendered it equal to a chronometer in precision, with 1, 2, 3 seconds per day being common in practice. The movement beautifully decorated with individual fingers for the third wheel, the fourth wheel, and the escape wheel. Robust black polished components, including the screw heads themselves, which featured chamfered slots and beveled circumference, mirrored anglage on every edge of every bridge, linear Côte de Genève perfectly applied, and there was an 18-karat golden rotor that was itself guilloche cut and engine turned. That is a lot of refinement for a movement that would never be seen. There's an overcoil hairspring to help the watch keep outstanding time in any orientation with respect to gravity, and the timepiece featuring not just the overcoil hairspring and the gyromax style balance, which was a free-sprung architecture invented by Patek Philippe just 2 years prior to the release of this caliber, but it was also a early high beat movement, as 19,800 vibrations per hour was considered quite progressive by the 18,000 vibration per hour standards of the 1950s. Now, about 600 of these watches were made, and of course many people will divide them between the earlier dials, which are a little less common, and the later dials. Both are double-fired vitreous enamel. It's just the setting of the indices via feet in the dial does set the earlier ones apart, both aesthetically and as collectibles. A timepiece that still looks the business on the wrist, as 36 millimeters remains a universal dress watch size For men or for women, this is a vintage watch that's not going to look like a dime on your forearm. Handsome, classical, historically important, and again, with only 600 of these made and between 7,000 and 7,100 of the caliber 12600 AT manufactured, it's both a rare watch and a rare and important Patek Philippe caliber. Own them both on the watch box.